Happy Scientist podcast. Each episode is designed to make you more focused, more productive, and more satisfied in the lab. You can find us online at bitesizebio.com/happyscientist. Your hosts are Kenneth Vogt, founder of the executive coaching firm Vera Claritas, and Dr. Nick Oswald, PhD, bioscientist, and founder of Bitesize Bio.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Happy Scientist podcast. It's the place to be if you want to become a happier, healthier and more productive scientist. My name is Nick Oswald and I'm the founder of bitesizebio.com, and today, as usual, we are drawing on the wisdom of Mr. Kenneth Vogt, Bitesize Bio's Mr. Miyagi and the founder of the executive mentoring company Vera Claritas. Today, in all other Happy Scientist podcast episodes, you get to benefit from Ken's wisdom to help increase your performance, enjoyment, and success in the lab. In today's episode, Ken is going to take you right out of your comfort zone. This episode is called There Is No Such Thing as a Comfort Zone. Okay, Ken, we've got to hear this.
Okay. Well, let us first acknowledge that we all like to be comfortable. I mean, who doesn't like to be comfortable? And the notion of a comfort zone is a very, very familiar one. And we've seen what happens when people are outside their comfort zone, or we've experienced it ourselves, and we don't like it. And so the question is do we need to circle the wagons every time we're outside of our comfort zone? Is that an emergency? Do we have to fix that? Is there really a problem there? And then, of course, the supposition of the title of this is there actually such a thing as a comfort zone? Or have we just been making this stuff up out of whole cloth? So, the fact is, we do make things up out of whole cloth. We do it all the time. And we've created all kinds of zones in our world. They're useful. You know, we have hospital zones and school zones and time zones. And, these things aren't necessarily naturally in existence, but we found a reason why they'd be useful, so we created them. And, now it makes things convenient or safe, or there's some other type of structural benefit. And so we use it, and we come to common agreement about that. And zones can be any kind of form. You never know what it could be. Like for instance, a time zone. Well, time zones are based on where you are on the globe. It's all about longitude. Except, some countries will actually break that rule, because maybe their country spans more than one time zone, but they find it more convenient to just all be one time zone, so they do. And if you look at like a map of the globe, sometimes you will see the nice straight line for time zones, and then there'll be this jutting out into somewhere else, because that's what they're doing practically. Because, that's what you can do. You can make a zone work any way you want. Zones exist by mutual agreement. But this is where comfort zones get kind of weird. Because I don't have to agree with Nick about what my comfort zone is, and he doesn't have to agree with me about what his comfort zone is. And we don't have to work together on this. That our comfort zones could actually be in conflict with each other. It could be a real mess. And and some folks will really take issue with the choices that we've made about comfort zones, or they'll be offended by it. Or they will feel imposed upon by it. So if you think about, like as an example, let's take roller coasters as an example. I, for one, find them to be jarring and nauseating. But there are probably others of you that think they are fun and exciting. Roller coasters are outside of my comfort zone. Now that I'm an adult and I weigh more than 50 pounds.
Oh, come on.
Back when I didn't have much mass, I loved them. But so the point being is that I'm not trying to talk anybody into to liking roller coasters or not liking them. It's just this is my present experience, And it's where I draw that line presently. But there may be benefits for me to stop drawing that line there. It was like, Nick, you just even push back on that. Oh, come on, you should enjoy it. You don't know what you're missing out on. You could get on roller coasters and have a blast. And, well, it's true. It's possible. That could happen. So, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just laughing at you. I wasn't saying anything.
So right away, when we think about our comfort zone, we are going to have to recognize that there are some real flaws in the notion of a comfort zone. The first is there's no consensus on what it should be or shouldn't be. It's understood that they're generally made up personal choices, and therefore there's no continuity. My comfort zone can be very different from your comfort zone, and vice versa. And there's no standards. So my comfort zone could be really crackpot, cooked up on the most flimsy of excuses, whereas yours could be just very solid and based on hard experience and serious science, But there's nothing like that in comfort zones. So it's like, why are we doing this? Why would you use this just pathetic criteria to create something that will have such a huge impact on your life? So the question then is, all right, I've been operating on a certain comfort zone, and I really, really don't like it when I'm outside of that zone. But is there anything you can do about it? Well, yes, there is. Because, the first thing you can look at is, what is the impact of these comfort zones I've created? Have I put barriers in my own way? Are they holding me back? Are they keeping me from things that would be truly beneficial in my life? Or even worse than that, are these comfort zones causing me problems? An example I'd use is like maybe having a quart of Ben & Jerry's ice cream would be in your comfort zone. But then again, are you comfortable with your present weight? Are you comfortable with your lactose intolerance? There may be all kinds of negative things about this. Are wallowing in self-pity, is that really helping you? And the fact that it's comfortable to go do something like that doesn't mean that it's good for you. For on the other side, there are things like, well, you're comfortable having a paycheck. Well, that makes you get up and go to work every day. Well, that's not a terrible thing. But if you hate your job and it's making you sick, and then you're bringing home your anxiety to your family, maybe this notion of comfort isn't so great. Maybe you need to reassess what it actually means. So my point is that this thing that you've called a comfort zone, it's made up. It isn't chiseled in granite. It is not even agreed upon by society. It's the worst kind of negative fantasy. And so you can do something entirely different. You can say, I'm no longer going to be held to that restriction. And so for instance, a lot of it comes down to how you language about it, what you have to say to in your own self-talk in your own head. That is, do you long for Cheetos? Oh, Cheetos brings up such positive memories in my mind, and that wonderful flavor and all that. Then again, you could look at it and go, these are cheese-coated, deep-fried cholesterol chips. I'm not doing it. That doesn't make me feel good. That doesn't make me comfortable. But you know what? Getting on the fresh air right now would make me comfortable. As opposed to somebody who's telling themselves, like, it's cold out. It might rain. The air smells funny. you know, a lot of this comes down to merely how the story we're telling us about things. And if we tell a story that's uncomfortable, we're going to be uncomfortable. But if we tell a story that is comfortable, we can get comfortable. And you can do that about things that have made you uncomfortable in the past, merely by describing it to yourself in a different way, about making different associations with it, so that you don't feel the same way about it that you used to. And feelings are very malleable. You don't have to feel any particular way. Now, I want to add a proviso here. I understand that some folks are, they're dealing with serious depression or bipolar issues where they don't feel entirely in control of their feelings. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about your average everyday feelings that many of us really do have a choice. You have a choice whether or not to be irritated or whether or not to let things go. You have a choice whether or not to feel pressured or to chill out. You have a choice whether or not to be interested or be bored. That one especially is a pet peeve of mine. I used to tell my kids when they, I'm bored. Yeah, well, guess what? Boredom is a self-inflicted problem. And, I only had to say that to the kids a couple times. And amazingly, they found things to do. Who knew? But, we look outside ourselves to change our feelings. I'm bored, Dad. You fix it. No, you're bored. You fix it. And we got to treat ourselves that way too. We've got to make an effort to decide what is comfortable and what isn't. Now, another thing is how we treat our sensations. If you're having pain, that doesn't automatically turn to suffering. There's times when we actually enjoy pain. When you're at the gym and you're getting a good hard workout, you like that pain. It's not suffering. But in other cases, you get a little bitty sliver in you, and that's horrible. I got to fix that right now. We don't tolerate that, So the sliver's outside of my comfort zone. That's fair. But running for an hour may not be outside of your comfort zone. Now, for some of you hearing that, like running for an hour sounds about 59 minutes outside of my comfort zone. Well, it just goes to show that there are options. There you can make choices. And obviously, some people are in better shape to do certain things than others. Some people will find, reading yet another deep book, a very painful experience and very hard. Others, they would do that just for fun. So the point is that it's up to you. You get to choose.
Run for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Lift weights for fun.
Exactly. Yep. Or some people hate to cook, and other people love to cook.
It's interesting that because you're just talking about what you have convinced yourself is the case, yeah. Basically, yeah. And that's
so. Do yourself a favor, make up something expansive, glorious, and dynamic, and make that inside your comfort zone. Challenge yourself and feel good about challenges. And when something fails, when you fall on your face, laugh and get up. Whether it's literally physically or whether it's figuratively, but you can respond that way. We've all seen that with a little kid that falls down, and there's this everybody freezes for a second to see how they'll react. And if the kid gets up laughing, it's all good. And if they get up crying, no, we all have to go down that road. And sometimes you see that with a kid, and you can see the kid is trying to decide, which way am I supposed to go? What are the adults signaling me to do?
I remember that we used to, when the kids fell, kind of a cheer. Oh, you're okay. Wait, let's go. And there's a one zone where they would have done that anyway. There's the zone where even if you do that, they're going to cry because it hurt. But there's a grey zone in the middle where they'll just go, oh yeah, I'm fine, off we go.
Yeah, that's right. They just needed another input. So, and that's all great when we're doing that with somebody else. And by the way, you can do that. You can help other people expand their comfort zones. But you know what? Start with you. Because the more you're comfortable with, the easier life is. If your comfort zone is very narrow, you're going to keep bumping up against it. You're going to keep stepping over the edge. It's not going to be fun. Well, you're going to have a more enjoyable life if you will go out of your way to expand your comfort zone. So that's what I've got for now.
Okay, well, there's not much I can say to that. That was very, very Miyagi. Just let the wisdom flow. But no, it's definitely worth. I mean, one observation, I guess, is that you can work yourself up to that. And one example is in running, for example. There's lots of anecdotes of people who, do the Couch to 5K app, for example. I don't know if you know about that, but it's like a kind of it's an app that takes you through a very slow on ramp into be able to run 5K after, I think it's a 12-week thing. You start off mostly walking, and then it gets you up there. And in the beginning, the running is very uncomfortable. But by the end of it, a lot of people actually really enjoy the running, and then will start doing that for fun. And you can say that that's because they've got their fitness up, but equally it's because they've consistently worked at their mindset. And so if you can't immediately flip yourself into, I enjoy apples and nut Cheetos or whatever it is, then and it doesn't flip straight away, you can just use willpower to get over that. And that's part of that when we talked about habit formation. That's part of the thing. So I get psyched out a lot by, it's not flipped straight away, so it's never going to flip. And so that's just an encouragement to that. If that's you as well, then just keep going, keep pounding away at it with willpower, and eventually it will get there. There's one way to do it.
Yeah,
it is one way. I know.
It is one way. It's not the only way. Well, it's like I will reveal one of my little pet things. I really like things to be neat and clean. I like to be a place for everything and everything in its place. There's a lot of benefits for that for me. Where I could step out of my comfort zone, though, is if I enter a messy environment or I'm around somebody who doesn't share that viewpoint. Well, I've learned that I can get comfortable with other people that are not as neat or not as clean as me. I can be fine with that because I bothered to stretch my comfort zone that way. The argument could have been made of like, maybe you should be an advocate for cleanliness and neatness and well, I don't know. I came to the conclusion that it wasn't worth dying on that hill. So, let people be what they are and go with that. Now, obviously, there are situations like in the lab specifically where cleanliness might be absolutely critical, and you just cannot tolerate that. So So the comfort zone is to get everybody on board to look how important this is and let's make it work for everybody, or to get people out that are not going to cooperate. There's advantages to having a comfort zone, but there are great disadvantages to having comfort zones. Some comfort zones also. So, let's just make sure that we make the choices on purpose.
As always, Ken, excellent wisdom, and yeah, this is another one for me to file away and listen to again. Okay, thanks again,
right,
Ken.
Thank you.
And you can see, I'm not sure if there's anything to go in the show notes in this one, but if there are show notes, then you can, maybe we'll put the Couch to 5K app in the show notes for this one. Always good if you want to get into running. You can find that the show notes at bitesizeby.com/The Happy Scientist, and this is episode 53. And obviously you can find all of our other podcast episodes there, and some other podcasts there as well that you might find interesting, the microscopists and flow stars and so on. Also, you can join us on facebook.com/The Happy Scientist Club, all one word, and you know, there you can ask us questions or get extra content or whatever you would like to do. And that just leaves me to say thank you again, Ken, for another fantastic. I'm trying to find a Mr. Miyagi sort of word there, but I can't. So another fantastic episode, and we will see you again next time.
All right, very good. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
The Happy Scientist is brought to you by Bitesize Bio, your mentor in the lab. Bitesize Bio features thousands of articles and webinars contributed by hundreds of PhD scientists and scientific companies who freely offer their hard-won wisdom and solutions to the Bitesize Bio community.